We are just basically working on online communication. So think just for a moment what could happen if we don't have that online connection. We couldn't live in this digital society. This is something very challenging for everyone because all the generations didn't use these new technologies we are using today. I am a millennial. I can't think about a society without the word digital because all my behaviors, all my actions, everyday activity I do is focused on online and digital actions. So think about that part of the statistics. I just said 9 hours a day in front of social media. Think about yourself. How many hours are you spending on social media? TikTok, WhatsApp is a social media network, Twitter or X. But also, I would like you to think about Gmail, webmail, these kind of applications, and the opportunity that this is bringing to us in order to collect data as researchers. We have this social media use that I just presented, and we have this concept which is user-generated content, but also the user-generated behavior. User-generated content is the content that we are publishing online as users, which is available for third parties to be collected. And after that, we can use algorithms to predict whatever we want, let's say the behavior you will have online. But also we have the user-generated behavior, that is a concept that talks about how algorithms can analyze your behavior in order to identify patterns that talk about your movements, just not online but also in person. So think about China. I will talk about that in a few minutes. But again, I would like to highlight that at the same time you are listening to me in this keynote, you please focus on your own markets, your own research fields. What I mean, if you are working on tourism, think about tourism right now. At the same time you are listening to me, think about how would you use these algorithms to be applied on tourism activities or on tourism businesses. If you're just working on management, for example, there are many sub areas in management that can be used or can apply these kind of techniques. So you will have to talk, if you want to use these kind of approaches, you will have to talk about data-driven strategies and business model. A data-driven strategy is basically a concept that defines that decisions are taken because of the data, and that data is collected from the internet. So more data, more profitable results. So data-driven strategies and data-driven business models. It is just not to talk about economy or privacy, for example. It is also a matter of national security. Right now, we are all very focused, I would say, on Ukraine and Russia, but also on other conflicts that are around the world. This is all because we are able to predict the behavior using predictive behavior modeling. Again, this can be applied to any industry. What we have to do as society or as a government or as a company in order to fulfill our objectives is to develop strategies because of these algorithms. What I mean is that if we have an artificial intelligence that works with percentages of 95% accuracy, you can also use predictive behavior modeling in order to predict what is going to happen. And this is all thanks to artificial intelligence that we are using today. But of course, you will be probably thinking about privacy concerns. We are adopting emerging technologies, so we should have concerns in relation about that adoption. It is just not about how we use the technology, but also the consequences that we can have if we use these technologies not properly. Here you have a few studies that I have published that I would like to highlight today because of that part of the keynote in which I want to highlight artificial intelligence, but to any topic. So artificial intelligence, it's the opportunity we have researchers to publish a better science. That is good because now it's a technology that we have to adopt. As a researchers or teachers, for example, now it's a hot topic, the teaching innovation methods. We should be very open to use artificial intelligence. I'm just going to check all of them very quickly just to let you know context about this kind of approaches. For example, in the first paper published in the Technological Forecasting and Social Change journal, we focus on surveillance technologies. If we were trying to demonstrate that sometimes this mass data collection strategy could be dangerous in order to predict how a citizen goes through a city, or this kind of technology that are not well used could affect our privacy. In the second one, published in the Government Information Quarterly journal, we're working on something which is a new concept called behavioral data science. And this is key right now. There are many companies working with governments and local governments to teach them to understand how artificial intelligence should be deployed by public governments. The third one that you can see in the screen is a paper in which we focus on communities online. Today, if we talk about communication online and all the communication is focused online, we should take note about online communities in which we have influencers. Influencers is one of the marketing topic today. Influencer marketing is something that is really influencing young generations of people. Here we focus on sentiments that influencers created because of their communication through social media communities. And in the fourth one that you can see here, published in the International Journal of Information Management, we focus as well on new concepts that you are probably working today, which are data-driven innovation or open innovation. Open innovation could be a mix of innovation that also applies algorithms and artificial intelligence, but it's also open. That means that shares its information or the know-how to other colleagues around the world. So this is also important. All the studies more or less have that name, I would say, that talks about the privacy, which is very important today. We should be really focused on privacy concerns because we have to learn to use this technology, and after that we can be just relaxed. But right now, in the early stage adoption, I think we should be just really focused on this. Finally, one is talking about Internet of Things, but I think you get the connection I want to reach. And the last one talks about something very important, which is online behavior modification. What I mean is we can hit the audience using online advertising, but maybe the audience is not aware that it's been hidden by this online advertising. So we can give them the product that they don't need, but as we are repeating online ads, they will finally buy the product. So we have to think about the pros and cons, but a good example, I don't like to say that it is very ethically correct, which is not, of course. Donald Trump, in the national election in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, he used something that was used for the first time in national campaign, which is artificial intelligence and algorithms trying to make people vote a candidate. He did it and he won the national election, and he was the president of the United States of America during 4 years. This was something very famous, but I would like to recatch up today because this is what I want to tell you today about. I want you to focus on how to use these technologies for your research areas. We have again this data-driven behavior, and you probably know about Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica was a digital agency based on the UK. It is because of the strategy that was uncovered by Facebook through Donald Trump and through Cambridge Analytica to develop an algorithm that was capable of make people vote to a candidate. Facebook had a database of Americans. I don't remember if it was 45 million Americans in different states that they had doubts about which candidate vote. I don't really know how, but Cambridge Analytica got this data set and performed a study, which is a marketing study, a digital marketing study, to identify those states in the USA that were key in order to vote for the president. So after doing this study, which is basically marketing, or so it's research different markets and psychographic variables, the CEO of Cambridge Analytica, presented the power of big data and psychographic in the electoral processes. Cambridge Analytica, 1 year before the national election in 2015, they presented this algorithm in which I want to be focused now. So Alexander James, the former CEO of Cambridge Analytica, presented an algorithm capable of influence people. This means that you can make someone vote for you. I will say that this is a clever and smart way to identify variables that can be used for any objective. As you can read in my slide, the voter persuasion objective. So we have in marketing and management or any business economics area you are working on, we have demographic and geographic variables. For tourism, we work with a lot of geographic variables in order to identify how destinations are chosen, for example. So age, gender, religion, geographic factors. So an algorithm capable of collecting that data linked to just one person and then link that data to psychographic variables, attitudinal. So advertising, automotive data, consumer confidence, economy, business. So if you think about these data points, we can combine them and apply artificial intelligence algorithms to identify if there is any opportunity to make them vote for you. We also have personality. That's very important if we talk about online decision making, personality. We have psychology and persuasion. Independent of the personality that these users have or the personality they identify, they send to them a specific content to make them vote for Donald Trump. And this is very smart, but it was not ethical. This is how the persuasion that we all have today with digital marketing strategies and also through social media, I will give you a few examples in a few minutes. This is how they, after doing a sentiment analysis, which is a technique in which you try to identify the sentiment of a user when they are reading news online or where they are watching a video, depending on the sentiment they have, they can hit them with a specific content. So a specific content that talks about Donald Trump or something that is contrary to the ideology that a user have. And that was done basically to all those voters that had doubts at that time. This is artificial intelligence and data-driven decision. And the impressive part of this is that it was done automatically. So it wasn't someone in front of the screen. It was just automatic. If you know about this kind of topics, we have the social credit in China. Some researchers or colleagues talk about this like government digitalization. It is not. But what I want you to focus today is on these technologies that could be used ethically for any areas. And that is the big opportunity I want to highlight today in my keynote. But I want you to realize that this is all because of the artificial intelligence development, because now we are able to do so. A few years ago, we couldn't record the face of many people at the same time. So think about ChatGPT or OpenAI. Just to go very quickly with this, social credit scores affect you, social services, insurance, just to make you premium or not, access to luxury autos, or even travel abroad. If you don't have enough points, you can't travel out of the country. So these kind of things. But this could be the worst part of applying algorithms, doesn't it? There is a discovery that I watch in Netflix, which is called The Social Dilemma. I think it is no longer available in Netflix, but you can watch it through the internet. And it talks about ethical design online or ethical design on social media. The ethical design is composed of 3 variables. The first one is advertising goals, the second one engagement goal, and the third one is growth goal. Advertising goal talks about ethical design when there is advertising purposes on a social media platform. The engagement goal talks about those strategies that companies or social media platforms are using in order to make you engage more and more using the platform. And the third one, which is growth goal, is those strategies that social media platforms are using in order to make that use increase. Because if you remember well, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we talked about social media as a channel to communicate with our relatives and our family and friends. But it's no longer that. I would say there is economic purposes, advertising, there is content that is sent to you and you're not aware of that. So just make this a small reflection about a new way of research. There is another TV show that is also very famous, which is Black Mirror, and they are adopting new technologies. It's not something that we can perform today in our research, but it gives you ideas about what is the future of this kind of technologies that we are working today. He is one of my dog, a border collie. You know, border collies are very clever, they are smart, and he's also very handsome, as you can see. We play many games. You know, I give him a treat and a word. He can do this small jumps or he can dance with me. So it's like the more treats I give to him, the more addictive he is to my hours. So I call him and he comes. This is because dopamine, and you probably know about it. Dopamine is a chemical that is created in our mind because of addiction. When we have dopamine in our minds, it's because this chemical is created because of something. Chemical is created because we drink alcohol or because we do drugs, gamble. These kind of activities generate this chemical in our minds. Therefore, the more dopamine something creates you, the more addictive you are. And guess what? We have discovered dopamine is also created because of the use of social media. The more you use social media, any platform, content, likes, notification, whatever, creates addiction. As Simon Sinek says, an American psychologist, dopamine is something that is not regulated. These kind of industries I just said before, drink, alcohol, gamble, sex, these kind of industries, all of them have regulations. There is regulation for those industries. There is no regulation for the time you spend using digital screen or social media platform, and also generate addiction. So we have this big problem right now as a generation. I will say that it is because of algorithms that are making big companies to earn money. The more addictive you are, the more money enterprises earn with advertising. So the more advertising you click on, the more addicted you are and the more money social media platforms earn. And this is quite the perfect business. Think about this. You are spending as a millennial a lot of hours per day in front of social media, more and more hours, and it's the perfect business because the more hours you spend watching TikTok videos, the more dopamine it generates. We know about privacy concerns, we know about this addiction, but we use it and there is no limit, and I think that's the problem. There is no limit. As there is no limit, we continue working on this, and sometimes it leads us to run actions and therefore wrong behaviors. And this is why Donald Trump won the national election. But this is marketing, digital marketing, this is management, this is data collection, this is emerging technologies. Two concepts that I presented today, user-generated content and user-generated behavior, are grouped into user-generated data. User-generated data is a concept that combines these two concepts. Remember, user-generated content, the content we publish online, and user-generated behavior, that behavior we have that can be collected. For example, if you follow in X, the former Twitter, a political party, I can collect that information that tells me that you like this kind of ideas that this political party supports. So that is one of the ways we have to analyze the user-generated behavior data points. Then just to finish, a few short definition about techniques that you can use in any industry. As I said before, tourism, destination choices, management. The first one is data mining, which aims to extract high-quality information from large amounts of data. Then we have machine learning that provides systems the ability to automatically learn and improve from experiences without being explicitly programmed. That means there are the more we use ChatGPT, the more it learns, which basically it's amazing, and that is because of machine learning. Then we have support vector machines that are models that learn from a specific input trained with data mining to tell the algorithm what type of output will be. This is a sentiment analysis, for example, algorithm that I will tell you about in just 2 slides. Then we have textual analysis it's been well used in tourism, management, doing analysis about keywords and their positions. But now we can do that applying machine learning. So this is the originality and the creativity of this approach now. This sentiment analysis approach, which basically it's also called opinion mining, and it is within the field of natural language processing, and it builds systems that try to identify opinion, neutral or negative sentiments that you can find any sample. Just to break barriers in order to make you think about this easily, algorithms are no longer difficult languages. I would say that they are not black screens with difficult code. They are now easy and simple interfaces that you can use. This screenshot you have here is a platform called monkeylearn.com. Here we are training a model, a sentiment analysis model. So you can choose negative, neutral, or positive sentiment for this tweet. And then you do that 1,000 times and you have trained an algorithm. So that algorithm can perform 1 million tweets analysis in less than 1 second using this machine learning approach. Just to finish, we have the machine learning and the deep learning. Deep learning is how the modern part of artificial intelligence is developing new approaching and strategies to identify insights and to create knowledge from big amounts of data. And I think it's a concept that you should also check out. Just to finish my presentation, these are my recommendations. We should, as researchers in academia, develop and implement a robust legislation about how to use artificial intelligence. So it is our responsibility to develop and implement robust legislation about artificial intelligence, but also promote transparency in public governments, in public institutions, universities. We should support artificial intelligence, but based on legislation and transparency. Also, we should take care of the red boxes. The red boxes talk about ethical artificial intelligence deployment in our research, but also as institutions, encourage open source artificial intelligence solutions, and education and training. But there is something very important that should be highlighted, which is public engagement. Public institutions should just engage with the citizen in order to identify what are the ways in which we want to be influenced, because artificial intelligence is very powerful and we should be aware of what activities are being deployed. So there are 2 green boxes. The first one is establish oversight bodies, and the second one, use of privacy enhancing technologies. Those are the ways in which we should develop these technologies and techniques, and also we should support artificial intelligence, but we should be cautious and develop the correct and the ethical part of this technology. So thank you very much. I am very open to any questions you have, and thank you to the AID International Forum on Management for its invitation, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you a lot.